going to work? Yes. Welcome back to Nosetools, where we have far too many pigs, and are building some new bedrooms, and are trying to work out where we're going to put all these spare zombies.
There are always spare zombies.
Yes. And I had a completely stupid plan that I'm now trying to work out how I accomplish.
Well, that's better than the kind of completely stupid plan that you're now trying to work out how you recover from.
Yeah, that comes a bit later. So I think actually the thing that I do is I organise getting some minecarts full of magma, if these aren't all minecarts full of magma already, which some of them are and some of them aren't. Right, so 2 of them are full of magma and 2 of them are not full of magma. Well, let's temporarily forbid the empty ones and then get the filled ones hauled up. Here. And then we can arrange to fill the other ones. Assuming, of course, that Furniture Stockpile 23 gets assigned the correct minecart, which may or may not happen.
Stockpile 23 has been assigned.
Yes, you can both going on.
None of the other wheelbarrows have been assigned yet, so let's just be patient.
Right, let's move things like that because that is going to be a hazard tomorrow morning. Carefully, well, it's going to still be dark when I go through the pool at 6:55 in the morning.
Destroy some objects we don't need. Hope that destroying some more objects will... surely someone should be able to do something with that. Hope that destroying some objects will increase the frame rate a little as well. Possibly killing some pigs would do that. What's our zombie situation? Plenty of additional rhinoceroses out there. Okay. Right. So, one thing I would like to do is to make some pearl ash so I can make some clear glass for the windows. Because obviously green glass windows would not give you the best view of the caverns. Yes. No, it's made by doing something with ash in a kiln. Which means I need some ash that doesn't end up being part of my great ash to soap pipeline, which I think means I in turn need to reconstruct the ash to soap pipeline a bit. Because the current situation is that we have a make-lie job that I think will run basically whenever we have any ash available. I could raise the drawbridge against the rhinos, but like as it is, if they wander in there, they'll end up in cage traps, and then I don't have undead rhinos kicking around anymore. I mean, wandering around anymore. And like if we have a shortage of cages, I can just make more. And then at some point we can hurl all of them down the pit. Once we have a pit. Right. So I think I want to adjust this slightly so that we don't make lie unless we have oh gods, can we not just say all possible kinds of soap? Do we have to specify the kinds of soap we might want? Ugh. I'm not sure I have the patience for that. I mean, like, yes, I can probably do it with the aid of a macro, but on the other hand, it will then, like, it'll go. Oh, can I not? Do I? Oh gods, no! I can't possibly do that. Right, that's not going to work. Right. So I can't unless we very carefully confine ourselves to one kind of soap. That's just going to be a mess. Is there a sensible way to just say temporarily mark this this job as not to be done? Maximum workshops, no, 0 is no limit. I don't want to delete it because then I'll have to create it again later. Oh.
Can't you make it conditional on something
that can't possibly happen? Yes. Like, actually, we can just make that. Right, there we go. That means if I make ash, I won't accidentally turn it all into soap immediately. It would be nice to have the soap pipeline be automatic. So now I should be able to work out where the hell my wood furnace is. We don't really need that metalsmith's forge anymore, do we? Because we have a magma forge now. Let's deconstruct that so it doesn't get used for anything. Is that a metal stockpile? Because that's not a very helpful place to have a metal stockpile. Oh well, we'll leave it there for now. Well, no, actually, let's delete it because it's no benefit to leave it there. Right. Right. So let's now, if we make ash, it won't get immediately consumed by the soap pipeline. And this door's currently locked. No one is going out there to talk to the rhinos anyway. I mean, I should probably what I would like to sort out is a more effective zombie rhino trapping system, so that we can quickly tempt zombie rhinos into cage traps, or other means of turning them into former zombie rhinos. And like, we have a surplus of pigs, we can use the pigs as bait. We just might end up with a few zombie pigs. And then, like, that will reduce our pig population and also improve the
improve our pig population and our population.
Yes.
Okay.
So how's the have we now got that wheelbarrow properly assigned? Yes, good. Right, so there should now be a couple of minecarts full of magma being hauled up here, and then we can work out what we're going to do with them. And the advantage of doing it like in this order is that I can actually see what I'm doing with the things. Right. That's nice. We're not letting anyone into the fortress at the moment, I don't think. Also, like, you're probably about to... Oh, there's a cave dragon down there. That worries me. That possibly means that we're going to have a zombie cave dragon at some point. Still, can't get into the fortress at the moment, so that's fine. Yeah, I need to get these pigs out of the way. So where's that visitor? Currently reasonably safely on the surface.
Is the surface one part that's full of zombie rhinos?
Yes, hence reasonably safely.
Yeah, so not currently being attacked.
Yes. Not in the middle of a fight with a zombie rhinoceros. People leaving random bits of food lying around. No, that's not going to end well, because it will rot if you leave the food lying around in the workshop. Right. So that should now cause someone to make us some ash. someone has been assigned to that job, which is good. So they're having some difficulty working out how to get to the furnace because someone's parked it in a distant bit of the fortress. We're missing a couple of doors there, aren't we? Door. Yes, this is very much a door fortress because I want to be able to isolate rooms easily.
Other places worry about having fire doors, but everywhere you've got zombie doors and magma doors.
Yes. Mostly, to be fair, zombie doors. We haven't actually set any... No, I think we may have set someone on fire. Yes, we did set someone... It was a fire door. It wasn't... I wasn't actually trying to stop the magma spreading. I was trying to stop the burning dwarf from spreading. And the fire, which was igniting the...
What means of dwarf convection, yes.
Well, there was... The fire was igniting the... what's going on there? Oh, right, you're rendering some fat. That's fine. The fire was igniting the floor fungus, which was then... right. Why did you suspend that? Item blocking site. What is the item in question? Oh, it's a forbidden steel wheelbarrow. Yes, okay, we'll have to unforbid that steel wheelbarrow temporarily. It's the steel wheelbarrow with a minecart stuck in it that I can't work out how to get out.
I must have missed something. Why have you got this two-layer storage thing where all your wheelbarrows filled with minecarts?
Because... thank you. Because dwarves will happily push wheelbarrows anywhere. Minecarts they will only push on minecart tracks. But wheelbarrows cannot be used directly to carry magma, whereas minecarts can. So what you do is you fill the minecart with magma and then put the minecart in a wheelbarrow and then push the wheelbarrow.
And the reason why wheelbarrows can't carry magma is...
Essentially because wheelbarrows are too automatic in terms of game, how the game works, in that a wheelbarrow is a thing that a dwarf will take from a stockpile to an object that belongs in that stockpile, put the object in the wheelbarrow, move back to the stockpile, take the object out of the wheelbarrow. You can't do any of those with magma because you can't pick magma up. So there wouldn't be any way, even if you could fill a minecart with a wheelbarrow with magma, for instance, by immersing it in magma and then draining the magma away, and if that actually filled the wheelbarrow, which I don't think it does, then the dwarves wouldn't know how to empty the wheelbarrow, because their mechanism for emptying a wheelbarrow is to take it to a stockpile that should contain the thing, and you can't have a magma stockpile because you can't pile magma, and then they would try to unload the magma from the wheelbarrow, which also wouldn't work because it would set fire to their hands. So essentially you need something that doesn't rely on how dwarves manipulate it in order to load and unload it. And minecarts can be loaded by immersing them in magma temporarily and unloaded by track stops which dump the entire contents of the minecart no matter what it is, even if it's something that dwarves can't pick up, yes. So that's why I'm using minecarts. In a more sensible world, we might actually have a minecart track all the way from the magma mines to where we want to use the magma. But that's an awful lot of building for not very much gain.
Or, I don't know, some carefully designed safe magma containment unit.
Well, the minecarts are pretty safe. Magma doesn't come out unless you put them on a track stop. I mean, it does warm them up and might set fire to them if they're not made of steel. But, like... it's reasonably safe. Anyway, that should be fine now, and now we should be able to unsuspend the construction of that kiln. While we're here, let's also make that a clay collection area so that we can collect clay for making things in the kiln. And this square should have a load of at least some sand in it. Right, good. Which will be useful shortly. So right now we can finish building the kiln. It now needs a mason to put the finishing touches to it. Well, I mean, to actually build it rather than just designing it. The cave dragon has got a name because it has killed enough things. And like, the cave dragon is doing a pretty decent job of clearing the undead out of the lower caverns.
I'm disturbed by the grammar of a crumbled, mutilated corpse.
Yes, it should really be the other way round, shouldn't it?
You would think.
But yes, that's right down in the lowest cavern levels, which we don't currently have connected to the fortress for reasons of safety. Right, so, oh yes, I wanted to go... We've presumably now got some ash, but now we're waiting for the kiln to be available to make some pearl ash out of the ash, yes. Oh, and I was going to... people keep visiting. Look, we're infested with zombie rhinoceroses at the moment. Please don't try to visit. I mean, maybe I should just set up a there's a meeting area there already, isn't there? It's even active. So, like, you know, come to the meeting area. It's behind a bunch of cage traps. It might save your life. Or trap you in a cage. I'm not sure. Oh dear, something's rotting. Rot. Looks like it's coming from the butcher's shop. Is there in the butcher's shop?
Is there a butcher in the butcher's shop whose job you might think it was to stop them into rotting and stop butchering them and put them somewhere safe?
I think they are actually mostly being disposed of, but let's make sure of it. Yeah, I think we have a slight, like, meat storage problem. i.e. we have far too much meat. All the meat and the plump helmets.
Including things like prepared naked mold dog and lamb.
Well, yes.
Is your problem perhaps that you're prepared to meat out and there's horrible bits of everything?
Dwarves like eating pretty much anything. They like variety. Actually, I'm not sure they like variety within the same species, so...
Pig sweetbread.
that's a mitten. It's admittedly a very worn mitten. Let's just throw those mittens away. But yes, we have an awful lot of meat, and we're still making more of it. We have a general food oversupply, which might be dealt with if we ever got any trade caravans, but I think the trade caravans may be avoiding us because they keep getting killed. Mostly not by us. Oh, do we not actually have a scheduled thing for spinning thread? We should have a scheduled thing for spinning thread. Hang on, isn't there an automatic? Okay, no, there's an auto loom thread, but there isn't an automatically spin thread from hair job. Okay, new order, spin thread, spin one thread, conditions on reagents. Amount of unrotten hair wool body part is at least 1. Right, that might get that random bit of hair finally spun. Right. So, is that kiln usable yet? No. Are we short of masons? We do only have one mason, and they're rather busy. Yeah, become a mason. Oh, someone's claimed a mechanics workshop. That probably means we're going to get a artifact mechanism. Must have rock, tanned hides, rock blocks, more rock blocks, silk cloth. Yes, we should have some silk cloth kicking around. More rock blocks, tanned hides, logs, rock. Yeah, I think we've got all of that. Yes. I mean, like, we could put vast amounts of effort into making sure that that really valuable objects get used, but I don't know that I have the patience. Right, okay, someone is building that kiln, that magma kiln. Right, so now we should be able to... why can we not make pearl ash? God, we need potash for pearl ash. Yeah. This is an unnecessarily complicated procedure. Ashery, make potash from ash. I can't remember how many ash I scheduled to be made. Maybe it was only 5. Let's make it 10. Though of course we can't currently go out and get more wood. And we're a bit short of beds, I think. Yeah, we're going to need some more wood. Suppose we could see if there's anything terrifying in the first layer of caverns, which it doesn't look like there is. Like, we have an adorable naked moldog puppy, and that's about it. Yeah, okay, we can probably safely let someone into the caverns to cut down a few cavern fungus. Indeed, people are currently allowed into the caverns, it would appear. Which would be why there's an adorable naked moldog puppy down there. So if we just chop down a few of the mushrooms down here, that should do the job. I mean, they're relatively boring colours compared to the ones we have upstairs, but... well, upstairs, downstairs. If, of course, we have any woodcutters. We do have a woodcutter, but they're not... Well, we have a legendary woodcutter. They're not currently a citizen of the fortress, so they're not actually going to do anything useful. Hey, you. Learn how to cut wood. Yes, I know you're an elf. You should thus be horrifically opposed to cutting down trees. I'm not quite sure what turning an elf into a woodcutter is going to do to them psychologically. This is our ranger, who is hugely stressed, largely by being unable to wander. Not sure how you deal with that. Have a look. Oh, right. Apparently, military dwarves, even with very little actual useful ability, is right. So, okay. So it seems that the probably the best way to keep dwarves happy is to stick them in the military and have them train, or indeed be unable to train, and this will. I mean, I'm not quite sure at what point this becomes an exploit. Though it appears that it mostly just causes them to do things they want to do anyway. So it probably doesn't qualify as an exploit. I mean, I try to avoid things that violate conservation of energy or mass. So, like, I'm not going to build dwarven water.
Water cycle in this world not violate conservation of mass.
Yeah, it does a bit. I try to avoid things that gratuitously and beneficially, things that circularly violate conservation of energy or mass. So, like, I'm not going to object to the fact that I can produce an entire tile full of obsidian out of 2/7 of a tile of magma. But on the other hand, the fact that I can melt down one crossbow bolt into enough stuff to build several crossbow bolts, and I can then repeat that process to produce arbitrary amounts of metal, is obviously cheating. Similarly, I'm not going to build a dwarven water reactor that takes advantage of the fact that you can make flowing water without actually needing anything to put the energy in to make the water flow. Actually, yes, that's the first generation dwarven water reactor just uses a pump driven by a water wheel that turns out to have an energy gain. It then turns out you can actually do this without the pump. So, yes. But I think the fact that dwarves assigned to military duty end up cheering themselves up is not, like, a terribly bad thing. And I should probably consider this something sensible to do. What's that place and what's going on there? Oh, right, yes. That's the auto spin thread job finally starting to work, which will deal with some more of our craft. Turn it into more valuable craft. So anyway, yes, so let's try that then. Let's create an entirely new squad which has no uniform. And thus hang on. Which is for some reason currently called the Armours of Clarifying, which may not be a very helpful name. I just want to make sure I don't accidentally arrange. It's not since it has no uniform. I think they will not go and decide that they should wear 0 armour and take all their clothes off. So that should be fine. And set the schedule of the Armours of Clarifying to be always train, and set the members of the Armours of Clarifying to be anyone who I notice being unhappy. which is mostly that ranger. And we'll see if that helps, and if that doesn't help, we'll actually set them to do some useful training. So P squad should be, you should join the Armours of Clarifying. And we'll see if that makes you any happier. Right, so yes, that's now made, but we need someone to sort out potash, because apparently you don't go straight from ash to pearl ash, you go potash to pearl ash. Here's someone going off to sort that out.
Yes, I've just been reading about it. Indeed, apparently it is true even in reality.
Well, yeah, the chemistry is not wildly wrong. I think I did, after actually smelting iron myself, have ideas for how you could improve Dwarf Fortress's idea of how iron smelting works. But, like, it's not wildly off. Unlike, say, it's brewing, which requires the input of 0 water. Like, if you have thirsty dwarves and no water, you can brew grains into something drinkable that will stop the dwarves being thirsty, and this is obviously silly. I mean, I suppose the fact that you can brew mushrooms is not so silly, because you do get an awful lot of water out of mushrooms.
Right, I was going to say, some plants do have some water in them. I can't remember what the one is that has a great big, basically gourd of water in its fruit.
We should actually make some more space to build graveyards, even though we don't need them at the moment. Also, I've probably got... I installed a small number of additional coffins that are now probably not set for permitting burial, and I have no idea where they are. Well, that's one. No, it's not. What? Why is that one a tomb? Free tomb. Why were you a tomb, you strange thing? And especially a tomb with no one assigned to it. There's a square there that doesn't have a coffin in as well. You don't actually have that many unassigned coffins. For some reason, most of this room is unassigned. Oh, I wonder if there's something silly about what happens if someone rises from the dead when they are officially assigned a coffin. Does the coffin end up not being properly assigned to them or something? Yeah, and let's install one spare coffin in that spare tile there, because obviously we should make sure they're all working right. Right.
Yes, it hadn't occurred to me that when a dwarf rises from the dead, one of the problems it causes is database consistency.
Yes. So what's going on with these? So those are the forbidden minecarts. That's the unforbidden minecart, and one of the minecarts has actually at least departed for the surface. Indeed. There is a minecart full of magma that I can work out a use for in a moment when my brain is slightly less full. so does that now mean we have a small pile of potash there? Yes. Right. Now, kiln. Make pearl ash. Repeatedly make pearl ash until you run out of materials for doing so. Okay, well, you already have a job to dispose of that rotting food, because I spotted it there and thought it probably shouldn't be there. Our strange mood dwarf is still collecting materials, which is good. But, you know, another use for these doors is that they keep the miasma contained. Is that some kind of slightly surprisingly skilled... Oh, right, yes, an elven animal trainer. Oh, yes, how is the chopping down trees going? Okay, yeah, maybe I shouldn't actually have an elven woodcutter. He feels unhappy after felling a tree. Yes, but, like, I don't really want to make my elven woodcutter particularly unhappy. And you look like you're probably suffering from some fairly serious stress, so let's... let's assign you to the armours of clarifying as well, just to see if this helps. And also... let's not give woodcutting jobs to elves. It just seems rude. What are you doing then? You're trying to find Mayor to attend a meeting again, aren't you? I think I need to get you actually doing military things. Right, mysterious construction begun. Lots of limestone, some silk cloth, pig leather, some tower cap logs. Mostly limestone. We could make ballistas, it's true. Oh yes, I need to make a ballista arrow, don't I? Thank you for the reminder. Oh, I'd forgotten how big a siege workshop is. I suppose it's building quite big things, isn't it? But ballistas are a hell of a complicated thing to set up. I think cage traps may be more effective. I mean, cage traps won't explode the zombie rhinos in the way that a ballista might. But on the other hand, they will, like, trap them. Right, anyway, I had... yes. Oh yes, I wanted to assign someone else to wood cutting who wasn't an elf. Anyone who has no job is obviously a good cat. What? Oh, can you have no job even if you can't actually have a job? That's kind of unhelpful. I suppose a wood burner is actually a good person to also have wood cutting enabled, because...
Well, they could. It's meant to be, for example, an unemployed actor, so... I guess if you have a thing that you virtually are for doing, and there's none of it to be done, you are... With a job and without a job.
Okay, we may not have any siege engineers either. So we should pick someone who can become a siege engineer. Just going to pick people at random until one of them turns out to actually be able to be assigned labours. Yes, well, elves may not be any good for cutting wood, but I'm sure they're all right for building siege engines. But,
I feel as if that's more of an orc job.
yeah, this there aren't really orcs. We have goblins, but they're not so oriented towards siege engines. Right, have we got any more beds yet? Good.
Alright, that was a good do. I should start going home.
Right.
So maybe see you on Friday or not if you're explosive comes to despair.
Right. Well, most of the rhinoceros corpses have got themselves names,
What do you know?
presumably by slaughtering creatures on the surface.
That's the worst place to be sorted. System is running on battery power. Estimated time left is 136 hours 47 minutes.
Oh, that's quite good.
I think that's what's known as a lie. They used unplug it. It's probably got the final stage of I'm actually on real power. Something like that. Oh, and then. Oh wait, I've recalculated. Just a low power, no power. Yes, I think so.
Right. So, people are installing beds. I'll worry about that later, as it were. So we don't seem to have anyone actually making pearl ash. I think we may be lacking in kiln fiery what's name people. Who makes pearl ash?
Just another crush.
We need the furnace operator labour. Okay. Where does that appear in the list? Is it other jobs? No.
Right. Good night, audio domain. Bye bye.
Actually a kind of metalsmithing, apparently. Don't think that's really accurate, but still. I don't know why that's forbidden. There might have been a reason once, but right, now we have a siege workshop. We can quickly, I think, assemble a wooden ballista arrow to deal with whatever that requirement was for a ballista arrow. I mean, we could probably do better, but let's just make the actual requirement for now. Right, someone is now assigned to the mucking around with pearl ash. We have yet another naked mole dog. Probably wants shooting. And we could try to work out a better way of getting visitors in from the surface. It is getting kind of embarrassing how many of them die at the horns of our neighbourhood rhinos. Meanwhile, let's see. I'm going to stop that being a pit for now. We'll reconstruct that later and work out what squares I want to convert to so that is the square that we don't want to fill with obsidian. That is one of the squares that we do. So if we create a pit, looks like if we can create it there and make it into a pond, that will cause dwarves to make sure there's water there. Then let's temporarily remove any attempt at collecting cages up here, and then build a track stop. Following our usual procedure, we'll build a track stop here that dumps that's good. It'll get in that dumps east, a track stop here that dumps south, and then load one of our non-steel minecarts into that northern track stop. That should be fine. Keeping half an eye on the kiln where we're making pearl ash to make clear glass. Limestone mechanism. I'm sure it's a very nice limestone mechanism. It's a limestone mechanism encrusted with oval limestone cabochons, encircled with bands of giant cave spider silk, rectangular limestone cabochons, and big leather. The object many stones with spikes of limestone and naked moldog leather. On the item is an image of Mintinched, the King of Imprisonment, the pomegranate wood figurine of dwarves in limestone. On the item is an image of Elie Glimmerzenith, the elf, and Zesmstum Murkiash, the tenebrous burial, the dark brute in Tower Cap. Tower Cap is a kind of fungus-based wood. The artwork relates to the killing of the said elf by the said dark brute in the year 87, which apparently was known about by someone. So we have another artifact mechanism. Right. Okay, I think we now have some pearl ash. So now, can we go make clear glass window. I think that should work. Assuming we have any glass makers still alive. Right, meanwhile, those track stops I think have been built. Okay, one of those track stops has been built. Someone keeps shuffling those cages around. Right, both the track stops have been built. So now... so that's currently not entirely helpful, but we can recycle that. Let's rename it mine carts at pond. Well, pit really. It's going to be a pit eventually. So that stop should be removed because it's in the wrong place. We should instead add a stop there. It doesn't need to be an interesting stop. We then just need to assign a... oh no, we do want to define that stop. That stop should be defined to have no conditions but a stockpile link from there, with the desired items being the usual. And then we should assign a vehicle to that. Oh, I think I've accidentally melted my bronze minecart. Well, that's unfortunate. I mean, for speed, it's probably better to make one out of wood now that we have a decent stock of wood again. Yes, I think I probably melted the bronze minecart as part of the great overflowing magma reservoir disaster. Why has someone left a random wooden splint lying around there, hey? What's the good of that? There's also rather a lot of useful objects in that square. I think we might want to clear those out somehow so that we don't embed like a hatch cover and several mechanisms in obsidian. Just feels like a waste. Which is kind of silly because it's not like we can't make plenty more. Oh yeah, we can make plenty more of limestone mechanisms and hatch covers. They're not masterworks. Let's accept their destruction. I would say that all the networking is fine here, but I can't tell. Because I'm just sending this stream off into the ether. Who knows what's happening to it afterwards. Let's scrap a few more teeth. So once that minecart has been made, since we accidentally ran out of minecarts, which it just has, We now have a fungi wood minecart there. We can now assign that there and go. But you've got rotting meat all over the place again. I think we may not have anyone who's a glassmaker anymore. Right. Assign another poet to the job. I can find one who's actually a citizen. This one. Hey, you become a glassmaker. I think I do have a problem of I'm just going to have those thrown away of my Marks dwarves not having any bolts because they keep bashing things to death with their crossbows, which is not entirely helpful. Good, someone's cleaning up the blood. That's nice. Right, it looks like the mandate for to build a ballista arrow has been completed. So that's installed. So now someone should be doing the job of storing an item in a vehicle. Good. Why is there a task on each of those limestone mechanisms? Oh, have they been assigned? Right. Well, oh, sod it, let's see what happens. If someone goes down there to pick up those limestone mechanisms at the precise moment that we obsidianise them, that will be embarrassing. There isn't anyone down there at the moment, so I think that will be fine. Splish. Assuming they get properly obsidianised. Okay, they didn't. There was water. I'm pretty sure there was water there when I checked last time. Well, I hope no one tries to pick up those limestone mechanisms. Because, like, they're now being melted in obsidian. Obsidian in magma. Yes, good. Right, let's cancel the construction of those cage traps and construct them out of... out of some mechanisms that aren't currently in the process of being turned into obsidian, or not currently being melted, not currently being turned into obsidian, because my obsidian mechanism construct. What am I doing? I've got lost in the menus. Let's stop talking and try to sort things out. Oh no, we can't because it's saving time. Yes. So yes, our attempt at making obsidian has not yet worked correctly, which I may need to pay attention to. What I should do for now is to stop us pouring more magma in there, because more magma is almost certainly not going to help. Which I appreciate is not the most dwarfy thing to say, but let's build those out of mechanisms we can find. That square is full of mud, and the mechanisms are still surviving, which is entertaining. Oh dear, has someone just tipped more magma in there? Oh no, there are 2 units of magma, aren't there? Right, so in a minecart. So let's temporarily remove the vehicle from that again, in order to avoid anyone putting another 2 units of magma down there. They'll pour some more water in there, which might cool the magma down, but I think we'll fail to obsidianize it. And then we can see what we're doing next. Meanwhile, we have a clear glass window. Right. So, there's a bedroom here that obviously deserves a window overlooking the caverns. So come on, someone. We must have a miner somewhere. Yes, excellent. Evidently, do we need to make more beds? Are beds not a thing that I have a job set to continuously make? Well, let's make one then. Because we have a construct rock door job that happens whenever we run out of rock doors. Let's add another one that's construct bed that has basically the same rules. So essentially, whenever we have fewer than 10 beds, make another 10 beds. Right. Right, so now that has been opened, so now I can build a window. Build a glass window. There, please. Oh, we're out of cages, right. Let's quickly make some green glass terraria. Since those are require essentially no materials. Stocks of potash and pearl ash in particular. They appear as bars. Yes, we have got 3 bars of pearl ash as well, which means we can make 3 more clear glass windows. Yes, yes, we'll have some cages along in a bit. It's just slightly inconvenient because I think our sandbags are somewhere completely unhelpful, like down here. No, no, those bags are empty. I wonder where our sand is then. We may need another glass maker. I think our last glass maker may be off doing something more interesting. There's a stressed, that's our favourite stressed dwarf, isn't it? At least she has finally communed with Zalis. Eating's probably good as well. Okay, right, what's going on with the sand situation then? Why do we not have adequacy of sand? We have plenty of sand. Where is it? Alright, it's in stupid places on the surface. Okay. Mark it as forbidden, and that will cause someone to dig up some more powder. Right. So that should then mean we get in due course, we get a collect sand job scheduled, I think. Yes, yes, I know we need sand-bearing items. And I know we need empty cages, and we need sand-bearing items for the empty cages. At some point soon, that will all get sorted, as someone will schedule a... I'm suspicious of any place item in tomb jobs that are still going on. What? Why are you trying to place prepared dog lungs in a tomb? Yes, I appreciate they may have come from a pet or something, but still. Should investigate that really. So
I can find no online connections of the chemists and Celtic jars.
thank you.
Should be.
So it looks like we have a bit of a problem here, that our attempts at creating obsidian by pouring water in small quantities and then pouring magma into it have not worked. So I think we want to try to make our pond easier to fill, so that we can put lots of water into it before we fill it with magma. That's going to require building walls around it. I think thus means I want let's try this, but we might accidentally end up locking a dwarf down there and needing to knock a wall down to get them out. Maybe we should knock the wall down preemptively. We're also going to want to remove that floor so we can replace that with a wall. Again, at least temporarily. Right, meanwhile... Right, now we have a clear glass window here. That room extends to include the window. So Dastot Araldoran should now have a nice view of whatever's going on in the caverns. I'm not going to put a window here because this is a staircase and we don't want people... If something actually comes through the window, then that might cause us some serious unhappiness. I should probably do something about here, though. Because if we knock through there, we could put a window in here. I feel that monsters occasionally crashing through the windows and causing trouble in the bedrooms is obviously a sensible thing to have happen. So, I also want to use some windows to make some display cabinets for putting some of our artifacts in. Right, there is a collect sand job being done. Good. Part of our problem is that all our sandbags are currently stored way down in the depths because the last place we wanted sand was a long way down, so people are having to bring the empty sandbags up here. Right, that's some sand sorted. Right, so we want a terrarium because we need to there'll presumably be another collect sandbag job started. Collect sand job started fairly soon. Yes, we have one sand in stock, which will be used for that. Yeah, I'm not worried about the spin thread going slowly. Need some more limestone blocks. Quickly do that. Getting through stone at quite a rate here. I mean, like, we're not actually in any danger of running out of stone. Still plenty of stone kicking around on this level. Incidentally, that's probably weirdly forbidden, isn't it? Let's unforbid that stone so that it can finally be removed. There's plenty of stone in the bedrooms that needs hauling out. Oh, and I never got round to walling that off. Let's deal with that. Actually mostly digging out the I mean, we've built that terrarium, presumably it does. Yes. And someone is indeed using the terrarium, right. And is someone... Everyone has suddenly fallen asleep. going on with our collect sand job then? Surely we should have a new one of those scheduled now. So is there something stupid going on with the empty... Oh, someone's left that door unlocked, and things are going round and round unhappily. Still have an unarmed cage trap. I'm kind of confused by the fact that they now I will pay attention to the collect sand job because for some reason it isn't active. Yeah, that should happen. Is there something stupid about it? Conditions checked monthly. Yes, okay, that's not very helpful, is it? Conditions checked daily would be more sensible. It might still take a day for it to schedule, but that would be more efficient. Right. Now let's wall in the last two squares down here. Doesn't really matter what we do these ones with, they're all coming out again when we finished anyway. Right, someone is collecting sand again. Good. Right, now we have a single enclosed tile which we can fill with water, which will actually fill up, and then we can try to fill it with magma shortly afterwards. Right. We have a minecart there. Let us fill that minecart with magma. We have two minecarts here that are still forbidden because they're bizarrely empty and we need to muck around getting them to the right place. Now I've got 2/7 of water, so it won't randomly evaporate. Like we've exported anything recently anyway. Right, we've got some of that again, so finally let's make some more green, another green glass terrarium. more sand being collected. Good. Means we can add another make green glass terrarium job, which should get us, might get us to the point where people stop complaining about not being able to load up their cage traps. Are you coming down here to operate the pump? Yes, good. Right, so that will then get hauled upstairs, and then we can arrange to try dumping that into our now rather deeper water. You have 3/7 of water down there. Should be enough to incidentally, what happened? Did those mechanisms finally expire? Yes. Right, we still don't have enough cages. We're still making more terraria. We only have one sand spare at the moment. There is another collect sand job in the offing. There goes someone to collect some more sand. Right, that means that now we can schedule another make green glass terrarium job. We'll continue doing this until people stop complaining about not having enough cages. The door is unlocked, isn't it? Yes. I'm sure someone will be down to move the things around eventually. Four sevenths of water. I mean, this is unnecessarily much water, but I'm kind of just waiting for the minecart to be sorted. Has someone even scheduled moving it yet? Yes, okay. I am kind of bored with waiting for that. Still need more beds. Still apparently need more cages. Just check that they're not like building up here, because actually the cages we've got aren't. Yeah, no, we still. That's presumably another bag of sand. Good. Do we have a job to? No, we don't. Hello, Eek. Good night, Eek. She's lost her stress feature. She was the one who was horribly stressed, wasn't she? I think so. Do we have another ranger, or is she currently is our stressed ranger something else, like a wrestler or something bizarre? I think we may actually have fixed that by following the instructions in the wiki about how to deal with your stressed dwarfs, which is stick them in the military. Oh yes, we should organise ammunition, shouldn't we? Because we have. So those 2 empty bins. No, oh, they're full of arrows. What the good of arrows? Well, those can be melted. Iron arrows we should melt. We have no use for iron arrows. Melt. I mean, we might not get much out of them, but kind of inclined just to dump the wooden arrows. They're not a bin. That might then clear those out of the way a bit, because then I think we want a stockpile that contains unbinned arrows to make sure that people can pick them up. That was our unhappy person. She is still unhappy, right? I'm just looking at the wrong person, because she's currently a militia captain, right? Random body part doing there. Is that someone's tooth they've left lying around? Want to try to remove objects that aren't necessary. Similarly, blocking doorways with your dead clothes is unhelpful. Still, we haven't got enough cages. How many cage traps do we need to load? It's true, our empty cage stockpile is still empty of empty cages. Unfortunately, it's our incredibly slow dwarf who has got the job of filling the next sandbag. So this will take a little while. But that's fine, we don't have any really competent glass makers anyway. Meanwhile, what on earth is going on with that? That is now being hauled out. Good. We should then lock that door. Oh God, we've got another empty minecart in the wrong place. I mean, what's our stock of cages looking like? Yes, our green glass terraria are mostly loaded into cage traps, waiting to be waiting to fire. So it's not like there's some weird sink of cages going on here. It is just that we need a lot of cages. Possibly, I mean, there's a weird sink of cages and we may be filling them all with animals that we then have to dispose of, but which of course is a slight problem with making them out of green glass, because that's magma safe, so we might find that tipping those into magma doesn't help. I mean, it'll eventually kill the creatures inside, I think, by just cooking them. We're out of glass makers again. So much thread, and still we need to loom more thread. Not loom, spin more thread. Right, someone's making another terrarium. Good. How are you as a glass maker at the moment then? Not even a novice glass maker yet. Still, you'll get there in the end. Someone hauls off another cage to load a cage trap with. Another one of the cage traps in the dungeon, in the caverns. We do seem to have a lot of naked moldog cages. Oh well, we'll eventually run out of naked mouldogs, I'm sure. That prepared dog lung should be dumped. Now I think that cat meat may be a similar problem. Right, so we now have 6/7 water in that pond. So if we now reassign that fungi wood minecart, then someone should actually attempt to fill the pond with magma. Right, we have an enormous cloud of steam. And we have a warm, rough-hewn obsidian wall. Excellent. Right, that worked. So that's one square turned into solid obsidian. So now let us remove the construction next to it. And shutter in the next square. See, this is like casting concrete, except we're doing it in obsidian, I think. And so here now, that square is obsidian cavern floor. So now we want to go... we can't reuse that track stop, which in turn means we can't reuse that track stop. And we can't reuse that track stop location, either track stop location, so we need to remove both of the track stops and put them somewhere different. We should remove that pond because it's now finished with, and we will install a new pond once we have a square suitable for filling with water. Right, we've got more sand, so we can probably make at least one green glass terrarium. We have indeed got 2 bags of sand now. We're getting more organised, so we may as well make 2 green glass terraria, assuming that we're still getting let's make a couple more. Actually, the way to check is, have we got any cages in the empty cage stockpile, which we haven't, so yes. Got a load of rotting meat in the butchery again because the world is completely full of rotting naked mole dogs. Right. So let's temporarily reorganize things so that we can get all those empty minecarts into the correct place. So we should do that by temporarily not having that consume minecarts, temporarily having that take minecarts from there, and unforbidding these 3 empty minecarts, and that will then get those minecarts recycled quickly without hauling them all the way up to the top, all the way up to the near the surface and back again. Right, so particularly that one, yes, will be going soon. Because we want to dig a hole in the floor there, but let's not drop a minecart down it gratuitously. Oh, actually, sorry, let's drop a minecart down it gratuitously, it doesn't really matter. Then we can start on filling it with water again. Right, meanwhile, more glass terraria are being made. More sand is being collected. Sand collection system actually seems to be halfway functional now. Right, at least that green glass terrarium is being stored in a stockpile, which suggests we may have managed to saturate ourselves with terraria briefly. So let's make some more windows. Toulon anguish crystals. Right, what I should do is, having approved someone, look them up in here. They're probably a poet, most people are. There's someone called Toulon. that's them. So what are they good at? They are a competent hammer dwarf, adequate brewer, and that's about it. So competent hammer dwarf says to me, join the creative entries. And a brewer says, yeah, go on, be a brewer as well. Don't think we're that short of... Oh, right, you're already assigned as a brewer. Excellent. I don't know that we're short of people brewing. No, we're probably not, actually. Probably make you something weird like a glass maker. Right, what was going on with those? What's going on there? Alright, it appears that we can't dig that out because that's a limestone block floor, so we have to actually designate the floor for removal first. No one cares about that. Okay, actually, yes, we need to build a wall there first. This is constructing the shuttering for the next square, the next tile full of obsidian. Our guy may be becoming a halfway competent glassmaker now. Novice glassmaker, excellent. And we actually have a stock of spare terraria. Good-o. So all being well, you'll remove that hatch cover out of the path of the magma. Now we can construct another wall there. And that will then give us one square that we can fill with water and then magma. And this incredibly slow process of casting magma all around our hole will continue. What's the current undead things situation? The current undead things situation is that we do not have any undead rhinoceroses on the surface. So let's open the door temporarily and think about building a zombie rhinoceros trap or 7, which will need more cages. Right. This, of course, will cause everyone to suddenly rush out onto the surface and try to collect objects, which is probably fine. So if we want to build a trap, then that's going to require a chain with a pig on it. So let's build that. Oh, I think. A restraint, yes. Let's just pick somewhere near, but not too near the entrance. And then we're going to want cage traps that are a couple of squares away so that the pig can't get into them and are fairly deep. So I think we're going to want to build some walls around this so that we don't have to build like 20 cage traps in a ring around it. But of course that is going to limit the visibility. Ooh. Do we use windows so that the zombie rhinos can see in and can see the pig? That might help. So let's construct. Where are our cheap blocks there? Pity that we've got so many logs nearby. I suppose we could actually just build this thing out of wood rather than building it out of stone, but like I still feel that wood is precious. And then we can stick windows on 3 sides of it. Actually, that means we want the entrance to be a bit longer. And then hope that the rhinos can like path in through the other entrance, which will be full of cage traps. So actually I think I want to build like a corridor like this out of limestone. Actually, the zombie rhinos mostly turn up in the southwest corner, don't they? Maybe we should arrange this there instead. We want some cage traps. Yeah, let's leave the let's stick the artifact cage trap, the artifact mechanism out here. That should make a really good trap. And then we'll stick windows in the other 3 sides so that the rhinoceroses can see the pig. Oh, hang on, we can't put a cage trap there. The pig will just walk into it, won't it? Or at least that's a danger. We'll make this, attempt to construct this one and see if it all works. And if it does, then we'll think about building more of these. Like by works, I mean captures at least 1 rhinoceros or other surface-dwelling zombie. Like those. Look, I haven't even built the thing for trapping you yet. Give me a chance. But we're still putting the walls up. Right. Sorry, you don't get very long on the surface. Because I have spotted the existence of zombie rhinoceroses on the surface. And if they spot you, they will kill you. Oops, I think our sand collection job is weirdly broken because the inside burrow doesn't include the sand collection area. Right, there we go. So they seem to have a random axe dwarf around, but they don't actually seem to be like making efforts to get into the fortress, which seems a little brave to me, given the zombie rhinoceros is out there. Is there anyone else on the surface? No. Okay, they are heading towards the fortress entrance slowly. So, like, as long as none of the rhinoceroses actually get in here, I can leave the door open for a little longer. Currently the rhinoceroses are all milling around up there. Right, how are things going down here? Have we moved all of those back round to the right place? Yes, right. So let's stop that taking from the magma store, which is obviously not what we actually want most of the time. And have that take from the magma store again, now that the magma store doesn't have... No, that's wrong. Now that the magma store is not full of empty minecarts, because I made a mess of things, as I usually do. Right, there is now an minecart there. We should forbid those ones so that no one tries to move them again. That door is locked. We can start pumping magma again. Meanwhile, how are things going up here? We've removed the floor. We've removed one layer of floor. So now we can channel that away in order to actually open up a hole through to where we want to fill with water. What's going on with that corpse? Usually corpses here. Yeah, dump that. Indicate something has gone wrong. Check we've still got a reasonable number of empty coffins. Yes. So I actually want three clear glass windows for my rhinoceros trap. No. Cancel task. No. That one. Right. So, and at least let's make 3 more, because I'm going to want to sort out installing at least one more in the bedrooms. Because I think we should give that room a window. And we could probably also do one for the room on the right as well. Yay, someone is sleeping in a bedroom. He feels euphoric due to inebriation and is blissful after sleeping in a great bedroom. Let's also, since we will have a thing available fairly soon, dig out that area. Oh, yes, I should pay attention to where the zombie rhinoceroses are and whether there is still a person on the surface. They're making their way very slowly towards the fortress entrance. And it's only the fact that the zombie rhinoceroses are like blind and brainless that means that they haven't got it yet. I mean, they're not actually blind, but they are brainless. The moment you get indoors, I'm locking the door behind you. But you are so slow. You only need to move about another 5 squares. Then in particular I can remove the alert that's keeping everyone indoors because the door will be locked. Right. So we probably don't actually want a cavern floor out there. Because we don't want things to be able to land on that and beat on the window, I think. Maybe it doesn't matter. Right. So I think this is all more or less organised. I should probably stop fairly soon. So you want start filling out with water. The problem with opening the front door is all these bloody artists come in and want to stay here and make things and do things and what have you. Have you still got some pearl ash in stock? Still got 4 pearl ash. Don't think we need anything for anything except making clear glass windows, so let's make 4 clear glass windows out of it. Oh, curses. I should remember that someone was operating that pump. Really didn't need to be operated for that long. Sorry. Right. I'm sure someone will come and operate the other pump in due course. Yeah, you don't seem to be improving, do you? We're going to have to do some more work on you. Oh, forgotten beast Atan has come, an enormous one-eyed stegosaurid. Well, it's not going to get better than that tonight. We'll stop here. It has 3 short tails and it has a gaunt appearance. Its fern-green scales are round and close set. Beware its fire. Yes, well, I was thinking it's about just past midnight, so I should probably stop and snooze. I do have one last thing, if this all works correctly. I was playing with a silly website that generates neural network based art of a sort, and so I fed it some phrases relating to our fortress and picked out some of the sadly the luxury apartments won't actually have an excellent show because this is 2 levels of caverns below where the luxury apartments are. They're up in the reasonably tame areas. So yes, there will be the not quite closing credits. The good night screen tonight has a few odd pictures that I persuaded a neural network art generator to generate of my fortress, or something like my fortress anyway. So yes, that will be all for tonight. We could try making bedrooms down here, but the thing is, this is it's all in granite, and granite is nowhere near as luxurious as limestone, so it's better to build the things high up in the limestone layers. I mean, there are some good rocks down here, like I think microcline or whatever that is might be slightly valuable, but yeah, not very good really. Anyway, yes, it's 7 minutes past midnight, so that's a good point to stop. Enjoy whatever the weirdness is that turns up in a moment. Good night.